Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and today is Wednesday, therefore it's time for another episode of Dear Nero, the weekly Q&A series here on my channel where subscribers send in questions and I answer them, thus the Q&A part of the title. It's a very simple process, but every single week we do this, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it every single week, and hopefully you guys all enjoy watching it. Typically, we start every episode off with a bit of a health update, a bit of a personal update, and unfortunately this week there really isn't a whole lot to discuss, honestly. I do have this app on my phone. I should have been more prepared before I started recording this, but here we are. I'm opening the app up right now, and things have actually been going pretty well, if I do say so myself. I'm back on Prozac, like I talked about in last week's episode. Today is going to be day 13 that I've been back on it, so almost 2 weeks. It takes about a few weeks to properly kick in, and I will say my anxiety has been going down quite a bit. There are days where occasionally I have like panic days, almost, I call them, where I just wake up and I'm like, oh no, and then don't really feel all that great, and then eventually once I calm down, the day becomes a bit more normal. But in general, I'm feeling a lot better. This is it's an app that keeps track of like days and stuff like that, right? So this will be my 36th day sober in a row, which is actually insane. I never thought it would be this long. It's by far the longest I've ever gone. So 36 days sober. This will be my 30th day, getting 10,000 steps every single day, and I haven't done that yet today, but I'll be doing that later on. It'll be my 30th day, 1 month. Pretty excited about that. And then 13 days on Prozac and back on the old meds that really worked for me back before I started drinking. So, in general, the week itself, there's like one day that was like really bad, but other than that, the rest of the days have been pretty good. And in general, just every day, everything's becoming a bit more even instead of like peaks and valleys. I'd say in general, my mood, anxiety, and just everything's a lot more stable as of late. And I credit that to being back on the medication that I knew would work for me, but I stopped using back when I was drinking a ton because it has bad effects if you mix it with alcohol. So yeah, in general, things are going really well in terms of personal health, and it's kind of crazy. I'm wondering like how low of a heart rate is too low almost, because like my resting heart rate went from like on average like 75 to 80 over the course of like the past like 40 days or so, from like a 75 or an 80 down to like a 60, and sometimes it dips below, like it'll be like 59, 58. I'm like, wait, how low of a resting heart rate is too low? And it turns out, no, in general, the lower your heart rate, I mean, obviously if it's too low, that's a problem, but in general, the lower that your resting heart rate is, the more cardiovascular health that you have. And so doing the 10,000 steps every single day for the past 30 days and trying to eat better and obviously not drinking and stuff like that and quitting nicotine. And I've also reduced the amount of caffeine I take. I'm at the point now where if I have like a Mountain Dew in my stomach and like my stomach isn't full, like I haven't eaten a meal or anything like that, like I'll just feel shaky and jittery. Like caffeine's like, I used to drink like, I don't know why Courtney ever decided to start dating me, because when we first started dating, it was back when I was drinking quite a bit and stuff, and that was back when I was also smoking and stuff. And I used to joke, she's like, what do you have for breakfast? I'm like, same thing I have every day for breakfast, a Monster and about half a pack of cigarettes. And she's like, no wonder you always feel like shit. And I'm like, I know, but it's just, that's what I've done for so long. But yeah, I'm at the point where I used to drink like caffeine and energy drinks and stuff all the time, but now I'm like so caffeine sensitive that like a Mountain Dew, I'm like buzzing off of it. I mostly stick to lower caffeine drinks like Coke and stuff now if I'm going to go for any kind of caffeine. But yeah, so I've lowered my caffeine intake, I've quit nicotine, I've quit drinking, I'm walking every day, I'm trying to eat healthier, and then so my body's like, whoa, wait a minute, what's this health stuff that you're doing? And so in general, I feel a lot better. And life has definitely been going pretty good. But yeah, that's the update for this week. Unfortunately, I mean, I guess it is fortunately. I was like, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot to discuss, but I guess it's a good thing, right? That means we're moving in the right direction. So for those of you guys that are really excited to hear about the health update and stuff every single week, hopefully that puts a smile on your face. It definitely puts one on mine. But we have a number of great questions for you guys here this week. So let's jump right into it with the very first one that's going to be coming in from Foot Snipes, what a name, who writes, Dear Nero, do you think the Vanguard will outsell Cold War? Yes, I do. I actually do. And here's the thing, right? So people are saying that like Vanguard has no hype. I might make a video on this myself. I understand that Vanguard has no hype. It comes out in like less than 10 days. No one's talking about it. Where's the hype, right? Well, the thing is, they're going to be revamping Warzone to be World War II like Vanguard. And Warzone is the biggest, like, most popular thing about Call of Duty right now. And so as a result, the Warzone revamp is going to be pretty massive. And as a result of that, I have a feeling people are going to play Vanguard for the Vanguard weapons and things like that so they can use them in Warzone. I think Warzone is going to be like what gets people to play Vanguard. And as you know, typically it's like, you know, it seems like the Call of Duty multiplayer is just kind of there to push people into Warzone. But I think the opposite may actually happen this year, where people that weren't going to get Warzone initially, or sorry, they're not going to get Vanguard initially, they're going to get because of Warzone this time, because it's going to be completely revamped. It's going to be called the Pacific, the brand new map, the World War II theme, and all that. So as a result, I think it's going to slightly outsell Cold War just because of the Warzone integration and the brand new Warzone map. But I think Cold War actually sold pretty well, which is pretty crazy considering that game's multiplayer has been kind of dead for a while, or at least it seems that way on both YouTube and Twitch. But then again, YouTube and Twitch aren't exactly the best parameters for judging the popularity of a game, despite how often people like to talk about how popular certain games are on Twitch. But regardless, I think Vanguard will outsell Cold War, but I guess we'll have to wait and see, because the game really does not have a whole lot of hype, at least as of right now. The next question is going to be coming in from Nico, who writes, Dear Nero, I love that you're doing better, and I love hearing you happy and healthy. Are you planning on making content for Halo Infinite? Did you grow up with Halo? So Nico, thank you very much. It definitely feels good to be doing better myself, but did I grow up on Halo? No. I was the person that I didn't get an Xbox 360. My brother and I got an Xbox 360 for Christmas right before COD 4 came out, or would it be... It might be guessed right after COD 4 came out, because COD 4 came out in November. So, yeah, back in 2007, that's when we got an Xbox 360 from our mom for Christmas. And I must have been like 16, and maybe my brother like 11 at the time. And we had to share the Xbox, obviously, at the time. But that was like my first jump into actual online gaming. Before that, we had like a PlayStation 2, but we never even tried to hook it up to the internet or anything like that. So I would play like offline PS2 games, whether it was like, Madden or hockey games, baseball games. I remember the Godfather game randomly, the South Park game, Simpsons Hit and Run, like all the old school games and stuff, right? We play that like offline, essentially. And then once we actually got an Xbox 360, we were able to play games online. So Call of Duty 4 was my first like online experience, and as a result, I missed like the original Halo on like the old school Xbox. I missed like Halo 2 and Halo 3. People always talk about those. And the first Halo I actually played was Reach. Pretty much the only Halo I've ever played was Halo Reach. And so I'm not really a Halo guy. Will I make content on the game? Probably not, honestly. I guess we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But I'm going to try the game, especially because it's free. And maybe I'll really enjoy it. Maybe I'll have a lot of fun with it. Maybe I'll want to cover it. But in general, when you're a COD YouTuber, you're kind of pigeonholed into like only playing COD, and only posting COD to your YouTube channel and stuff. I mean, stranger things have happened. Maybe I'd put some of that stuff on my second channel. I don't know. But I'm going to try Halo Infinite. I just don't know if I'm going to make content on it. And to answer your question, no, I didn't grow up with Halo. But I'm excited for the game because, it's always fun to have competition for COD, and it's also always fun to have like a new shooter out that's like going to be interesting, that has a lot of hype behind it, and that people are interested in playing, especially when it's Halo and it's got all this all these like legions and legions of fans, and also it being free to play. That's pretty awesome. So I'm definitely gonna give it a try, and hopefully I like it. The next question is gonna be coming in from Rabbits, I believe is how you pronounce it, who writes, Dear Nero, what is your opinion about game leaks before the game is released? Does it ruin the hype for you, or is it the opposite? Will you be more hyped when leaks start to surface? Much love from Finland. So I guess it really depends on the game, but I would say in general, game leaks do get me more hyped for the game, because oftentimes game leaks and stuff like that are more interesting than the actual marketing material for the game. And also game leaks actually give you some, I guess, like good information about the game. Does that make sense? Like typically, if we're getting leaks about Call of Duty, especially at this this late in the life cycle of the marketing hype, I guess, typically we're getting things like, oh, this is how create class is going to work. This is how the score streak system is going to work. This is how prestige mode is going to work. Which are all things that they never discuss in their official marketing, like really whatsoever. So typically leaks get me more hyped for a game. I mean, sometimes it can be the opposite. If you get a leak that says, oh yeah, this game is going to suck, it's like, oh no, really? Why? And then they explain why in the leak, like, oh, they're doing this microtransaction system, or they're going back to this kind of a system, then that's going to like ruin the hype a little bit. Like Vanguard, for example, when they said that they were going to be going with the Modern Warfare 2019 time to kill and a bunch of Modern Warfare 2019 style systems, that kind of killed the hype a little bit. There was a leak that said that the challenge system in Vanguard is going to be like Modern Warfare 2019, and that instead of having a traditional challenge system with like 100%er, it's going to have like the Modern Warfare mission style system again, which is stupid. Like, why just add challenges to your game? Give us a reason to play the game. Like, why is this so hard for game devs to understand? Oh yeah, it's because they don't play their game. That's why. But that kind of stuff that can kill the hype for the game. But in general, I'd say that game leaks are a good thing. It does not ruin the hype. I mean, if it ruins the hype for a good reason. It's because the game has some bad systems involved with it. Obviously, you can't take every single leak to heart, but in general, I think leaks are good for the games industry, and especially as a YouTuber. I guess I'm probably biased because I get to report on leaks and talk about leaks and stuff like that, talk about information that maybe, Activision or Treyarch or Sledgehammer don't want us to know about as of right now. But yeah, in general, I like leaks, and I guess everyone has a different opinion on that. But I think in general, people tend to think that game leaks are good for the industry. The next question is going to be coming. Oh, also, I should also throw in, I'm thinking that most of the time, I think the game leaks are actually part of their marketing strategy. I think that they intentionally leak these things so that people get buzzing and talking about them without, Activision officially like putting it money towards a full marketing campaign. Like one person, I mean, not that Tom Henderson is on the in necessarily, but like, if Tom Henderson makes a tweet about Vanguard, that is suddenly all these articles are getting written. People are talking about the game, this, that, and the other thing. That kind of free marketing is insane. For every single game. So I wouldn't be surprised, and I actually do think that a lot of the leaks that we get are actually intentionally leaked by Activision, Treyarch, Sledgehammer, and whoever, just because it makes them, it increases like the hype for the game, or decreases the hype depending on the news by so much, and it's so efficient as compared to like blowing money on a trailer and editing and music rights and stuff like that. So the next question is going to be coming in from Jason C, who writes, Dear Nero, now that you're actually enjoying COD again, do you think that your gameplay has improved? I've noticed in your recent videos that you have stepped it up a level. Do you think this is the reason? I guess it's twofold. I mean, I go on streaks and stuff like that on occasion. By no means am I necessarily a gameplay channel, like at all. But I'd say like when your enjoyment of the game is higher, you're typically going to do better because you're not in a bad mood as you're playing, and as a result, you make better decisions. You're just kind of going with the flow. You're not getting tilted. You're having fun. I think that's true of most games. If you get tilted, you're going to start playing poorly. That's just how things work. But also, for the longest time there, I would drink every single night, and that's when I also played COD. So I was always drinking whenever I played COD. So most of the Cold War footage that you saw, especially early in the year, that was me while drinking. And so sober me definitely plays a little bit better. Not so much better, but a little bit better, I'd say. The next question is going to be coming in from Marcus Martinez, who writes, Dear Nero, if Vanguard flops like Blame Truth says it will, do you think that Modern Warfare 2 Remastered would drop or maybe be the next game? Yeah, so if the rumors are true and that the COD after this is going to be Modern Warfare 2, but with a Roman numeral 2, it's going to be a sequel to Modern Warfare 2019. If the rumors for that are true, it seems ridiculously hard for them to release a remaster of the original Modern Warfare 2. So I can see, like 6 months after Vanguard comes out, if Vanguard is not doing very well, them just pushing out the original Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer remastered. I think that would actually be a really good thing for the franchise. I think it'd be a great thing for Call of Duty fans as well, because if they don't release it this year, then it's going to be a problem trying to release it with like the name and all that. It's just not going to make sense. Like, how do you release Modern Warfare 2 as a new game and then after that release Modern Warfare 2 Remastered? It doesn't really make any sense, especially when they're two completely separate games. So yeah, I can definitely see that happening this year. It's actually what a lot of people are suggesting, is that if Vanguard doesn't do well, the Activision's going to push the big red button to release Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered, which a lot of us have long suspected is just an ace up the sleeve up there at Activision. Like, they released the campaign already. Rumor has it the multiplayer's already finished, but they've chosen not to release it. I think the reason why they haven't released it is just because they know it is a license to print money. It is going to work ridiculously well. People are going to dig the game, especially if they fix certain aspects of it, which I think we have a question regarding that later on. But they're choosing not to. They're saving that for a dire situation where maybe they're not making as much money as they think they should, and then they're going to release the game. And Vanguard may be that time, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. The next question is coming in from Jared, who writes, Dear Nero, as a fellow ex-booze hound, I want to play, but I always associate Call of Duty with heavy drinking. How do you disassociate the two? Even when sober for many days, weeks, and months, I still can't play without a drink. So it's like smoking, it's like drinking, it's like anything, right? When you start associating one thing with another, it's hard to break that habit. If you guys have ever smoked, for example, you may be used to smoking as soon as you wake up. You may be used to smoking when you get in your vehicle. You may be used to smoking after a meal, or this, that, or the other thing. long car trips, for example. And that's like the hardest part about quitting smoking is like not only the nicotine and stuff like that, but it's breaking the habits that you associate with smoking. Like your morning coffee, for example, if you're a coffee drinker, like you may associate drinking that coffee with your morning cigarette and like all that kind of stuff. It's difficult. Drinking can be the same way. You know, if you associate, drinking with COD, you either have to give up COD or you need to like just realize that, okay, you can enjoy video games without drinking. It is a thing that you can do. One thing that I did early on, it hasn't really been that big of an issue lately, but I remember, so I used to play like video games at night and I used to record and I would stream and stuff, but I drank every single night, and I would drink a lot. Like, when I was drinking liquor and stuff, that was one thing, but after I stopped drinking liquor, thinking that somehow drinking, like, 12 beers a night was better, I would just be drinking beer constantly the entire night, right? And so when I quit drinking, what I did is I replaced beer with water. I have these little things, like the Kool-Aid liquids, the Mio liquids, and stuff like that. Don't get the caffeine kind, just get the normal kind that just, it's like a flavor enhancer that you squirt into your water, and then you just drink the water all night. I mean, obviously, it's not the same as alcohol, but especially if you have friends to play with and you have things people to talk to and things to do and stuff like that to keep your mind off of it, typically it works out pretty well. And so when I first quit drinking, I was pounding water like mad, like so much water. I was pissing constantly, which is good though. I mean, it's good to be drinking lots of water, but now that it's been like over a month and stuff like that, I don't have that same desire just to pound down water or anything like that at night. I still drink water at night, obviously just not nearly as much as when I first started. So it's about getting over that mental hurdle. It's about you realizing that you can play video games without drinking the same way that you can drive to work without smoking a cigarette, the same way that you can, do any other thing. Associating two things together sometimes is a good thing, but oftentimes it can be a bad thing as well. So you don't have to do one thing to be able to enjoy another, is one way I can put it. And it seems like a lot of people say, oh, I can't game unless I'm stoned. It's like, well, then you might have a problem there. It's the same idea as if you can only do certain things if you're drinking. It's the same way you can only do certain things if you're smoking. Same idea, right? I mean, you can associate one thing with another thing, but that's not always a good thing. So yeah, definitely just, work on it pretty much. And it's not going to be easy at first, but it gets easier as you go, for sure. The next question is coming in from Instinct, who writes, Dear Nero, what is your favorite fast food and or dine-in restaurant? I'll answer both really quick. I'd say fast food overall would be Taco Bell, which is lame, I know, but you guys have to understand that we have no fast foods around me besides like a McDonald's. And so, like, if I want Taco Bell or Arby's or Wendy's or anything, we're talking 30 minutes to an hour, depending on which fast food restaurant I want to go to, so it's kind of a commitment. So when I do get fast food, Taco Bell is definitely my favorite. My favorite dine-in restaurant, this is going to sound so lame, but it's like fancier Taco Bell in the form of Mad Mex, which I don't know if those are everywhere, but their burritos are delicious. And especially this time of year, they have this thing called a gobblerito. It's basically Thanksgiving dinner in a burrito. It is so delicious. Like, it's got the turkey. It's got the cranberry sauce is on the side, so that's fine. But it's a burrito with like turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes and black beans and corn and gravy on top of it. It's delicious. It's so good. Way too big. I used to be able to eat like one in like one sitting, but now it's like I can eat half of this maybe. This thing is giant. So yeah, Taco Bell and Mad Mex are pretty delicious. The next question is coming in from Sushi Boy, who writes, Dear Nero, what kind of car do you drive? I actually drive a 2014 Chevy Silverado. I've had the truck for my very first vehicle was like an Eagle Vision way back when. It was my first car. I bought it for $500. Drove that somehow for an entire year until it eventually died. Then after that, I had a Chevy Trailblazer, which got smashed in a hit and run while it was parked outside my house. I think I told this story forever ago, but yeah, it was parked outside my house. I used to have to park on the street. And this person, it was actually an underage driver, smashed into it and then drove off in a hit and run. But it was kind of funny because her car broke down in front of my parents' house. And my parents saw it. And she, when the cops all showed up, she was telling the cops, like, oh, yeah, this person in a white car happened to hit me. And they towed the car off and everything. And I didn't know what was going on. I was like sleeping or something. And, that night I go out to my, because I have a horrible sleep schedule. So that night I was like getting up, I'm like, it's about 11 o'clock at night. It's about time for dinner, right? And so I go out and I see that my Blazer is like smashed into the curb, the tires all destroyed and everything. I'm like, what happened? And so I don't know what to do. I called my parents and they came down and we all noticed like the red marks all over my Blazer. And we're like, wait a minute, there was that red car that was all smashed up by our house earlier today. We put two and two together and figured out that she had smashed into me. It's so stupid. How you hit a parked car like that, especially that hard. So that was a total loss. Her insurance paid for what the vehicle was worth and I had to get a different vehicle. I then got a green Silverado. It was an older one. I forget what year it was, maybe 2004. I can't remember. Then that Silverado got smashed in a hit and run. Same house, same parking spot, but this time it was by a plow, and we couldn't tell if it was like a city plow or around here. Lots of people just have plows in the front of their trucks, so it was impossible to tell who it was that smashed into, like, completely scraped and destroyed the side of my vehicle. And so it's like, how do I get 2 straight hit and runs? I told my landlord at the time, I'm like, I'm just parking in the yard, by the way, just so you know. I've lost 2 vehicles to parking on the street here, and so after that, I got I was a total loss, and what sucked about it was all out of pocket pretty much. My insurance, I think, paid for maybe some of it, but without another, the person actually hit me paying for anything, I basically had to pay for everything out of pocket to be able to just get rid of that vehicle, and then I got the vehicle I have now. Thankfully, I moved to where I live now and actually have a garage to park in, but for a little bit there, I decided, like, look, I'm just going to park in the yard. I'm not risking my vehicle getting smashed into again. So, yeah, I've only owned like 4 vehicles in my life total, and the one I have right now is one I hope to drive till the wheels fall off. The next question is coming in from Slender Fiend, who writes, Dear Nero, if you were given lead developer over a Call of Duty title, what would your innovation for your title be, and how would you plan out the life cycles and the season of content? So for me, the biggest thing would just be rewarding the player. That'd be like within all the marketing, it would just be things like, it would be the most engaging Call of Duty title ever made. And by engaging, you're getting constantly rewarded for everything that you do. The more playtime you put in, the cooler shit you get. I mean, sure, there would probably have to be some things in the shop, but there would be a currency in-game that you could get for completing challenges and doing things to actually make it so you could buy the shop items without ever actually spending a real-life dollar. Dark Matter would be insane. Dark Aether would be insane. There'd be insane rewards for 100%er. I'd bring back the daily contract system from Call of Duty World War II. There'd be so many weapon variants and stuff like that that you could get right from the shop by saving up your armory credits by completing challenges and doing things within the game. The prestige system would be completely robust and interesting and long-term and rewarding, and there'd be master prestige rewards that are actually different than just reskins, and it would be the most rewarding and the most engaging Call of Duty title ever made. That would be the selling point, because you are going to unlock and earn so many awesome and amazing things throughout the entirety of the game's life cycle. And just like all the other CODs, there'd be 6 seasons. The seasons would not reset your prestige, and every single season would be original content with different fun themes. Like if a season's coming out and, season 6, for example, would be like the Halloween season almost. I mean, we bring back all the events, Shamrock and Awe, Days of Summer, Winter Siege, all of it, right? We bring back all the events, make them rewarding, lots of exclusive content, amazing content, stuff like the cool shit you see in the shop that you have to pay $25 for. That'd be the shit you're earning in the game. It'd be awesome. It'd be insane. That's what I would do if I were given reins over a Call of Duty title. I'd make it the most engaging COD title ever, because that's what we need these days. Like, run around, shoot 'em up can only be like interesting for so long. You have to have things there to keep people playing the game, in my own personal opinion. The next question is coming in from Scott's Bra. Weird name. It's bra, not the boob holder, but the bra. B-R-A-H. But Scott's Bra writes, Dear Nero, we all know that Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 2 were among the best games of the franchise, but what would you say would make them better if they were fully remastered for the next generation? A couple balance changes, I think, would be all that Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops 2 would need. Modern Warfare 2, you'd have to implement Robert Bulling's Forgotten Patch that made it so all the suppressors actually worked, made it so the red dots were actually aligned, and made it so one-man army noob tubes and stuff like that were not a thing. And for Black Ops 2, I would say, honestly, nerf the C4. People forget about how ridiculously powerful the little C4 sandwiches were in that game. And I would also make it so toughness doesn't work on snipers. Because while you guys, I mean, people are going to hate this, but you guys know, like, my opinion on snipers in Black Ops Cold War. It's not, they're ridiculously broken because they have no flinch. As long as the sniper is accurate and takes advantage of aim assist and all that, like, it's pretty hard to beat a sniper. You die a lot when it's not your fault. Like, if you're using a red gun, you see the guy, you lock on first, you start shooting, you're not missing, they left trigger, right trigger, you're just dead, and it's not. There's nothing you could have done. In previous COD titles, if you were faster on the draw, it's by even, especially up close and stuff like that, you would just win because you were kind of designed to win at that range. Whereas in Black Ops Cold War, especially because there's no flinch, as long as they're accurate, they just win the gunfight. I mean, that's it. I mean, there's nothing more I can really say. They just win if they're accurate. That's why people say, oh, they're the worst snipers in Call of Duty history. They're so terrible. It's like, really? Then how come 3 people on each team, every single lobby, are pretty much using them? Oh, they're really terrible if everyone's using them. Whereas in Black Ops 4, which I would argue is actually a terrible year for sniping because it was really hard to get consistently good with snipers in that game because of the high health pools and stuff like that. And the fact that snipers actually had flinch, as a result, you never saw snipers in that game. You never saw snipers in Black Ops 4 because it was actually hard to do. Whereas in Cold War, it's very easy to do, even for myself. I mean, I have dark matter. I used all the snipers. It's easy to snipe in this game, and as a result, that's why I see so many people using it. Well, the toughness perk reduced your flinch when being shot at in Black Ops 2. And when people would use those on the snipers, that's why they were ridiculously good. I think the snipers were fine in Black Ops 2, like in terms of like their aim down sight time and all that. But what made them ridiculously good was they were basically like the Black Ops Cold War snipers if they used the toughness perk. The fact that they didn't flinch really whatsoever. So I would actually rebalance that. I would give snipers flinch. Maybe I give them slightly faster aim down sight speed to give them a chance to be more accurate and faster up close as a way to balance it. But other than that, I think Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 2 are pretty solid multiplayer titles when it comes to balance. There are just a couple of things that I would personally change, and everyone has a different opinion about what they should change. But yeah, that's what I would personally do. The next question is going to be coming in from Boomslayer. What a name. Who writes, Dear Nero, dude, have you ever thought about reviewing shows? It would be nice to hear you, in all caps, talk about something other than COD. Reviewing shows, no, because I don't really watch that many of them. But if you're ever wanting like to hear my opinion on something or ask questions, Dear Nero is obviously a good place for it. And also my Twitch streams, twitch.tv/NerosCinema. You write something in chat, I read all the things in there, I respond to everything in there. So yeah, twitch.tv/NerosCinema. The next question, I guess actually final question for this week's episode, is going to be coming in from Unhinged Gaming, who writes, Dear Nero, you've been a streamer/creator for a while now. Other than making your living, what keeps you on the grind? I've been streaming for about 1.5 years, and there are times where I look at all I've spent on this, and I want to sell it all. What is your secret? Well, it sounds to me like you're not enjoying what you're doing. It sounds to me, and maybe I'm out of line here, but it sounds to me like you're doing this because you want to make money at it. And while inherently it's not a bad thing to want to make money, you cannot get into YouTube or Twitch, especially at this day and age, with the idea that this is going to be your career. I've been doing this for 10 years, and I barely make a living. I have so much damn debt sometimes, it's insane. And it's because I'm trying to get back to like where I was previously. YouTube is... It's like gig work almost, in that like your income is so ridiculously like not consistent. Like some months you're killing it, other months you're eating ramen all month, because you just can't afford shit. That's how it is. That's because of like different times of year, ads are worth different things. Sometimes your views are down this, that, or the other. They fluctuate. But at the end of the day, you have to do it because you enjoy it. Back when I first started, you couldn't just make money on YouTube. That was the thing that you just couldn't do. You couldn't make money on Twitch either. Twitch wasn't even a thing when I started. It was Justin TV. And back then, everyone just made videos because they wanted to make videos, and that's how I started. I had several channels before I made NerosCinema, and all those channels got deleted because of copyright, because I'd play music and stuff in my videos. And so as a result, people like me and the old school guys, we all just made videos for the love of the game and making videos. Then eventually, things like Machinima became a thing. People were able to put their videos on Machinima Respawn and get a little paycheck from there. And then eventually, the YouTube Partner Program was a thing, and you could partner your own channel. And nowadays, it's like, oh, I'm just going to grow up and be a YouTuber. I'm going to make all the money in the world. It's like, it's not how that works, because it's not an original idea. Like, I don't even know why people watch my videos. I think people honestly watch my videos out of habit because I've been around for 10 years. Because I don't think there's anything that separates me from any other Joe Blow on YouTube. And if you're someone who's like trying to make a YouTube channel or trying to make a Twitch channel, what is there to separate you from the millions of other people trying to do the exact same thing? I mean, most of you guys, you know kids and stuff like that, kids, young teens and stuff like that. Ask any of them, what do they want to do for a living? They all want to be YouTubers. Nowadays, they all grow up watching YouTube now. It's ridiculously saturated. We were saying it was saturated 10 years ago, and it's still true to this day. And so if you want to do this, and I'm not trying to discourage anyone, if you want to do this, do it. But know that it's going to be a hobby, and know that it's going to be an expensive hobby. You need a pretty decent gaming PC. You need a pretty decent microphone. You need a decent headset, stuff like that, When I first started doing YouTube, I was using a computer that I got from Walmart for like $100. It took every minute of video, like back in the Black Ops 1 and Modern Warfare 3 days, every 1 minute of video would take about 1 hour to render on that computer. So if it was a 10-minute video, that would take 10 hours to render. And mind you, rendering took up all my PC power. So my PC was unusable for those 10 hours while that one 10-minute video for that one day was rendering. So I would like make my video and I would render it out overnight while I was asleep so that I could actually use my computer the next day. And I wasn't making a dime on YouTube for the first several years. And that's my dog yawning. He does that. I don't know why. You guys probably hear it almost every episode. He always decides to yawn whenever I'm recording. And he always makes that high-pitched like noise whenever he yawns. But yeah, I didn't make a dime at all on YouTube for several years there. And then it got to the point where my channel started getting a lot of traction during Modern Warfare 3. I was able to partner with the Machinima network at the time, and I started to make a little bit of money. And then I kept going at it and going at it and going at it. And then now here I am 10 years later with like 150 million views, you know, subs and all that. But it goes back originally, the idea, the impetus of everything was just like, I do this because I want to. I do it because Call of Duty is my favorite game. I have so much passion about it, even back then, all the way till now. Nowadays, I feel like a historian now. I've been around for so damn long, talking about the good old days and how things used to be and how different things were added, how different things were removed and things like that. I think it gives me somewhat of a unique perspective, I suppose, on the COD franchise. But it all goes back to that. I did it because I love it. And when you look at the things that are around you, because you've been streaming for 1.5 years, and you say to yourself, you know, I just want to sell this all. I've wasted all this money. It's like, well, no, if you're enjoying your time, you should already enjoy gaming, hopefully, if you're trying to become a streamer. And so now if you're streaming and you're doing what you would be doing anyways, but now you just happen to also be streaming and you maybe you're making a little bit of money from it, well, that's more money than people are making not streaming. You know, sometimes like I look at my Twitch and stuff like that, and it took me a little bit to realize it, but my Twitch is just a passion project, right? I'm not making a living off of Twitch. I mean, if you guys want like full transparency here, I might make $150 a month off Twitch, maybe. And if I do the math on that, like I'm making like $1 an hour if I'm on Twitch. You know, I make maybe $1 an hour for all the time I put streaming on Twitch every single month. And then I'm like, oh man, is it even like worth streaming at that point? But then I realized like, wait a minute, you dummy. You're going to be playing these games anyway. You're hanging out with your buddies anyway. Why not just stream it, right? You know, that $1 an hour I make on Twitch is more than the people I'm playing with make. You know, and I'm just doing what I was going to be doing otherwise, which is just hanging out with my buddies and playing video games. So what's the problem, right? And that's the mindset you have to go in with it. Like, don't go into this into this space here thinking that you're somehow going to become like the next millionaire, that you're somehow going to circumvent the entire, you know, way of the world where you're just going to be able to skip out on, you know, being a normal adult and getting a normal job and doing this, that, and the other thing because you like watching YouTube videos. Sure, if you want to try YouTube and if this is your passion, this is what you want to do, then work towards it, but you're going to have to work really hard. And you should also work really hard at it while also doing other things in life. Like I know a number of friends that were doing YouTube while going to college. A number of friends that were doing YouTube while working a full-time job somewhere else, and they do this all as a side hobby. And if it turns into anything for them, then sure. But it's not their number one priority because it's very hard. It's almost like gambling, you know? So I'm incredibly thankful for the position I am in on YouTube because, you know, it's very hard to get to where I'm at, and it took a lot of work, a lot of grinding, and a lot of luck, but I'm eternally thankful for it. And I feel like if anyone wants to get into YouTube or Twitch, you have to go into it with that mindset of like, sure, maybe you do want this to be your career. This is the thing that you're most passionate about. But at the same time, you have to understand how difficult it can be to get a following. You know, what is going to separate you from everyone else. And the thing you have to remember is you do this because it's fun. You do it because you enjoy gaming, you enjoy COD, you enjoy whatever, and you want to share that enjoyment and that passion with other people, make your own little community, which is half the reason why I like my Twitch. It's the same people in my Twitch chat every single night, and we all know their names, you know, and they're there virtually every single night, and we just chat about whatever. You know, it's a fun little community. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this week's episode of Dear Nero. I hope you all enjoyed it. I don't know how long this one's going to be. I feel like it's a little bit shorter than normal, but I guess I'll have to wait and see the actual timestamp once I'm done recording here. It was a fun one. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed. Stay tuned for next week's episode. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. It's at NerosCinema. Every Tuesday, I put out a tweet asking you guys to submit your questions for that week's episode of Dear Nero. Then on Wednesday, I grab the best questions and I make the video. So there you have it. Stay tuned for more videos here in the coming days as we get closer to the release of Call of Duty Vanguard. I still want to do like a retrospective on Black Ops Cold War. There's a number of videos I want to do before Vanguard comes out, so stay tuned for those. I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider leaving a like. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.